Hello and welcome to a new video on IGCSE Mathematics. In this video, we shall be discussing similarities in areas and volumes. So let's briefly review the rules that we discussed in previous videos. We said that A1 over A2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 2. And we also said that V1 over V2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 3. In this video, we shall be discussing problems that handle areas and volumes simultaneously. So the problem has both areas and volumes. So let's try to do the first problem here. As per our usual convention, we will use 1 for the bigger shape and 2 for the smaller shape. So let's say that A1 here is 180, which is the bigger area, and A2 is 80, which is the smaller area. Now, we are given that the volume of the smaller cone is 168, and we want the volume of the bigger cone, which is x, for this problem. So how would we be able to get x? Of course, the link here is S1 over S2 because it's common in both equations. So let's try to get S1 over S2 first. And we do this by getting the square root of both sides. So square root and square root here. The square root cancels the power 2, of course. And we are left with S1 over S2 equals, and we evaluate the left-hand side on the calculator. So we have square root of a fraction, and in the fraction we have 180 in the numerator, 80 in the denominator, so we get 1.5. So S1 over S2 is 1.5. And now we put in 1.5 here instead of the entire fraction. So we have 1.5 like this, to the power of 3, of course. So 1.5 to the power of 3. That gives us on the calculator again 3.375. So we have x over 168 equals 1.5 to the power of 3, which is 3.375 over 1, of course, in order to cross multiply. And finally, our answer is going to be x equals 168 multiplied by 3.375. 168 times 3.375 gives us 567. So this is the volume of the larger cone. Let's check the marking scheme. And thankfully, our answer here is correct. 567 is the correct answer. The diagram shows two mathematically similar solid metal prisms. The volume of the smaller prism is 648. The volume of the larger prism is 2,187. The area of the cross-section of the smaller prism is 36. Calculate the area of the larger prism. So again, we write both rules. So A1 over A2 equals S1 over S2 squared. V1 over V2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 3. And we begin plugging in the values. So A1 is the bigger area, and that's actually the requirement here in this problem. We want the bigger area, so X. A2 is the smaller area, and this is given as 36 in the problem. V1 is the bigger volume, which is 2187. So let's plug this in. And V2 is 648. So let's plug this in as well. And like we said before, the key, the link is S1 over S2. So we need to get S1 over S2. And here we're going to take a cubic root of the left-hand side and a cubic root of the right-hand side as well. The cubic root on the right-hand side cancels the power 3. So we get S1 over S2 on the right equals cubic root of 2187 divided by 648. You can use the calculator to evaluate this fraction. So cubic root and fraction button, and then 2187 in the numerator, 648 in the denominator. you get 1.5 again. So 1.5 equals S1 over S2. We go to the second formula and we cross out S1 over S2 and we put in 1.5. But remember that you still have to square it. So we have x over 36 equals 1.5 squared. 1.5 squared on the calculator gives you 2.25. So we can cross this out here and write 2.25 over 1. And then we cross multiply. So 36 times 2.25 gives us 81. Therefore, x equals 81 is our final answer. And 81 here, thankfully, is the correct answer. Two bottles and their labels are mathematically similar. And you're given, again, a volume and a label with area 96 and a large bottle with a volume. And you are required to find the area of the larger label. So this is pretty much the same idea. Let's work on it again. A1 over A2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 2. V1 over V2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 3. And we plug in the given quantities. So we have two volumes given, 1 liter and 0.5 liters. So obviously the 1 liter is the bigger volume. So let's put 1 for V1 here. And let's put 0.512 for the smaller volume, because we said 1 will be the bigger shape and 2 will be the smaller shape. And let's put in the cubic root, or let's just rewrite the equation to look nicer. 1 over 0.512 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 3. Take the cubic root of both sides. And the cubic root cancels the power. So you get S1 over S2 equals, and you can evaluate the left-hand side on the calculator, cubic root of, and 1 in the numerator, 0.512 in the denominator. So you get 1.25 in this case. Now you can take the 1.25 and put it into the other equation here. So this is 1.25. And A1 and A2, we are given that 96 is the area corresponding to the smaller volume. 96 here is the area that corresponds to the 0.512, so the smaller area. So we put the 96 in A2, not A1. And we put X in A1 because we want the area of the larger label. So now we have an equation that says X over 96 equals 1.25 to the power of 2. We square 1.25 on the calculator, we get 1.5625. So cross this out and you have 1.5625 over 1. And then we cross multiply. So we have X equals 96 multiplied by 1.5625. 96 times 1.5625 on the calculator gives us 150. So X equals 150, and that's our final answer. And 150 is correct as per the marking scheme. In this problem, we have two containers that are mathematically similar. So let's just label the numbers that are given using the values that we are used to putting in the equation. So we have, for example, surface area of the larger container. So this would be area, so A, and larger. So we said that 1 corresponds to larger. And then the surface area of the smaller container. So we have 94 would be A2. This is the area of the smaller container. And then the volume of the larger container. So this would be V1 here. And we are required to find the volume of the smaller container. So that would be V2. Now let's write down the two equations. We have A1 over A2 equals S1 over S2 squared. We have V1 over V2 equals S1 over S2 to the power of 3. Let's fill in the values. We already know now that A1 is 226, A2 is 94, V1 is 680, and V2 is X. And let's follow the same procedure again. Let's write down the equation that we have two numbers in. So we have 226 over 94. We start with this equation because we have both numbers. This is equal to S1 over S2 to the power of 2. And we take the square root of both sides. The power 2 cancels the square root, and we are left with root of fraction 226 divided by 94. And that gives us 1.55 equals S1 over S2. We take the 1.55 and plug it into the second equation. So 680 over X equals, and then instead of this, we're going to write 1.55 to the power of 3. We evaluate 1.55 to the power of 3. This gives us 3.7238, or just 3.72. That would be fine. And we can do over 1 as well to cross multiply. So we get 680 equals 3.72x. Divide by 3.72 to cancel out the number. You have 680 divided by 3.72. This gives us 182.795, so 0.8 equals x, or even we can write 183 equals x as a final answer. Let's check the marking scheme. 182 or 182.4. So this is slightly different because of the approximation we made in the middle, but that should be okay for this problem. A cylinder has height 20 centimeters. The area of the circular cross-section is 74. Work out the volume of the cylinder. Of course, the volume of a cylinder is base area multiplied by height. So the volume is pi r squared, which is the area of the circular base of the cylinder, multiplied by the height, which here is 20. Actually, we don't even need pi r squared because they already gave us the base area. So this entirely is equal to 74. So we have 74 times 20. And 74 multiplied by 20 gives us 1,480. And that would be the volume of the cylinder. This is correct for question A. For question B, we are given the height of cylinder A and its surface area, and the surface area of cylinder B, and we want the height of cylinder B. So here we just need the rule for the area and the height, or the area and the side, which is A1 over A2 equals S1 over S2. And A1 is the bigger surface area, and the bigger surface area, of course, would be 3,960. And A2 would be the smaller surface area, which would be 440. Of course, I forgot to do the bracket squared here, excuse me. And then for S1, this is the larger height or the larger side, and this is the unknown. This is the height of cylinder B, so X. And the smaller height here would be 10. So we evaluate by taking the square root of both sides, but let's rewrite the equation again for clarity. 3960 divided 440 equals x over 10 all squared. And then you take the square root on both sides, cancel the square root with the power, and you have square root of 3960 over 440, which is 3. So all of this here is equal to 3, and this is equal to x over 10. So let's cross multiply. 3 over 1 equals x over 10. Cross multiply, you get x equals 30. And that would be the final answer for question B. And this is correct. So this brings us to the end of our video. I hope this has been beneficial. Thank you for watching.